Today, we're meeting with Vava of Vava Coffee Inc. Excited and happy to be speaking with entrepreneur who are you currently in Kenya or Tanzania?
I'm in Nairobi, Kenya.
You're in Nairobi, okay. So with Vava, who's an experienced entrepreneur, and maybe you could just briefly tell us more details about who you are and what you're all about.
Thanks, William. Well, where do I start? Uh, Multifaceted woman, very passionate about what I do. I've been in the coffee industry, I would say, for close to slightly over 12 years now. And running Vava Coffee, which is a social enterprise based in Kenya, and Gente del Futuro, based out of Tanzania. And other than, of course, running, you know, coffee businesses and working with farmers, I'm passionate about a lot of things, and basically just trying to elevate my community and using my skills to help uplift other people, because I believe, with the opportunities that I've been afforded in my life, and with my skills, um, I would say my purpose is to share those skills and to help really elevate my community and especially young people. So I'm very passionate about young people and women issues as well.
Oh, great. Now, if I understand correctly, your business, tell us a little bit more about your specific business that you started, I think you said 11 or 12 years ago. I know I think you have several businesses at this point, or at least you've invested in a number, but you've got the primary business that
Mm.
Vava Coffee.
Yeah. So Vava Coffee turned 11 this year, and we are B Corp certified,
Okay.
and we use or follow a social enterprise model where we don't just buy coffee from communities and move on. We invest in the coffee communities that we buy coffee from. We invest in various ways, both with capacity building for producers, um, and just doing various projects in those communities. The business started exporting coffee to various geographies about 4 years ago. So initially, when I started the company, it was more, well, I started the company very naively, if I could put it, just with the joy of let's get Kenyans to drink more coffee, and let's also try and tell the story of the Kenyan coffee producer in the way that it should be told, and put the faces of these producers at the forefront. And I would say that I started the company out of curiosity, after drinking a ton of coffee on campus when I was a student in Canada. I got curious as to how the coffee trade works, and the socioeconomic aspects that surround, the coffee industry. So that's how I became, curious enough to take the risk to jump and, start this company when I came back home. But of course, I didn't sort of start Vava Coffee immediately. There was, of course, a lot of resistance along the way with, having spent a lot of time in school and then deciding to start a company was like a disgraceful thing to do,
Ah,
according to my family. But 11 years later, here I am. And so the company ethos and what we believe in is, to really contribute to the communities where we work. And a lot of our work has been focused on both women and youth. I mean, within the coffee industry alone, we do have one of the biggest issues we have is that a lot of young people don't see as though the coffee industry really offers any opportunities for them. They may be from coffee growing families, but they don't see any continuity for them to work in the coffee sector. So we're trying to change that by exposing them to the different, say, careers one can have within the coffee sector. And Kenya being one of the most, I would say, I would say, prized producing coffee countries. Like, if you know anyone who purchases coffee, any importer, a selection from Kenya is a must. Like, every serious importer has to have like a Kenyan coffee in their, in their coffee selection. So I was just, asking myself, why do we produce, all these great things, not just in Kenya but in Africa, but we've never consumed any of this. Like, hardly do we drink coffee in Kenya. In fact, we ship out, I'd say, 95% of what we produce. And it was just about, how do we shift this, and how do we, change the culture behind all of this. So that's why I say I started in a very naive way, not knowing how much it would require to actually transform this culturally. And to date, I would say no. I mean, Kenyans still don't drink that much coffee, but we've seen the coffee culture really grow in terms of coffee houses and all of that. But I've also just stumbled upon, several other opportunities to still grow what we're passionate about, and our story as Vava Coffee.
So you early on you mentioned that you're a B Corp, which I believe is for Benefit Corp. Now, why did you choose the B Corp legal designation as Vava Coffee's incorporation, if you will?
Mhm. Well, having done work with folks like Fairtrade and having looked at like all the other certifications that exist in the market, for me, what spoke to us, like, if the stamp, say, of approval that we're looking for sort of fit within the B Corp, what B Corp stands for. When you sort of go through the B Corp certification, you literally sort of do a postmortem on your entire, like, both as a person and your entire organization. How do you relate to the environment, and how do you relate to your community? And saying that, of course, our community relations for us have been the strongest. And I felt, one, when we're trying to say that we're doing better for producers, are we doing better just price wise, or are we also doing better by giving them knowledge and skills that can help them actually negotiate for themselves, or to actually be better producers? So I looked at what the market was offering at the time, and I didn't feel like anything spoke to me as strongly as what the B Corp certification stands for, which is quite grueling. It's a very grueling process to go through, and at some point quite annoying because of all the questions and like all they call it an impact assessment too, which you dig deep in even as a founder, because I don't think when you're going through B Corp certification, even if someone in your company, you can delegate that task to someone in the organization. I believe at the end of the day, the founders of that company have to sit down and, go through all, ticking all the boxes. Employee welfare is also another factor. There is governance that is also, another issue that you have to look at. So I liked B Corp simply because it was like a 360-degree evaluation process for us, which we do every year again, like with all the new things that could come up. And I mean, like this year alone, with the whole world talking about diversity, equity, and all of that. And for me, I felt this is a certification that just covers all of those bases. And it spoke to us, and that's why we went with it.
Oh, great. Well, it sounds like it's as you mentioned, it's kind of a grueling process, but the holistic assessment really leads a couple of thoughts. One is it kind of pulls your team together because you're all going through it together and you're asking some tough questions. And secondly, is you're probably coming up with some answers and some new questions that help guide you the development of your business. So it's yeah, I've heard it's a really good process at the end of the day when you get through it. And that leads me to sort of my last couple of questions for you. What are your biggest challenges right now? You've obviously been successful. 11 years points to a lot of success. However, you've learned a lot of things that have caused you to reposition the company at times. And I'm sure you're in process, as always, of thinking of ways in which you can kind of extend your reach or grow your business or what have you. So um, curious about what the biggest challenges are you're facing right now, and then the follow on to that would be, what are your next steps? What's your future look like?
Well, I would say, I don't know. I think I read this. Someone was saying, I don't look at it as challenges, but more like opportunities. But that I don't want to say that, because there are challenges. But then you just have to switch your mindset and look at it as, what is the opportunity within this challenge? Is perhaps how I would put it. I would say that one of the biggest things has, especially this year, has just been, how do you navigate the world we're living in today, especially for entrepreneurs, and especially when you exist in an environment that really doesn't understand what entrepreneurs need and what an entrepreneur goes through to actually pay the bills and pay salaries, like just have things work out the way they should. So COVID has, forced, I think, a lot of us to be very agile and very, you got to be adaptable. You got to, just open yourself up to like what could be, but also just learn to quickly just change and adapt and reinvent yourself somewhat. So um, what all of the things that we've gone through this year has taught me is just, I would say, how to be more creative as an entrepreneur. The biggest challenge has been like getting, I would say, the sort of cash, so, a secure reserve of cash that you can rely on. Because if huge organizations have been bleeding this year, and some of them have, you know, gone in, under, who am I to, still, think that that could not happen to an organization like ours? So our struggle this year has been just trying to rope in new investors and new people who can support us through, the next year. There is definitely opportunities that we have come through this year, and the company is looking forward to like a great uh, 2021. However, when they say cash is king, cash is king. That's such a something that is so right. So the struggle has just been, where are those people who can fund the missing middle folks, like some of us? And because coffee being very capital intensive, we were lucky to get through this year, and our luck came more from, I would say, the relationships we have with the current importers we work with, because literally some of them help pre-finance like the shipments, but that is something that you can't always bank on. So for us, it's been um, getting creative on how to fundraise. Fundraising this year has been tough. Getting money from banks is like something that is not viable for us, with banks actually even having to renegotiate certain facilities with some businesses. So with a business our size and with the risk exposure, of course, bank loans were not an option this year. It's just literally also just putting on a brave face for your team, not knowing what the future looks like. And on top of all that, as an entrepreneur, it's also my personal health. It's,
Yeah.
how do I keep strong amidst all the chaos this year? Like, it's been so tough, but I would say as a team, we've definitely grown closer. And for me, it was always when like the lockdowns were happening and there was no movement, I could not get to my office for like 3 months. It was also, how do I keep the guys on the farm motivated? How do I get them to do other new things on the farm? Like, if we're not roasting coffee, if we're not doing shipments, like what other things can we do? So a couple of things happened this year. We started doing food, like food production, just your kales, your lettuce, your tomatoes. So we used the farm for so many other things. We started experimenting on, a flower bee project. So just keeping the team motivated and active so that they know that, okay, if we're not functioning, the coffee side is sort of like looking kind of weak, but in the meantime, you guys still have jobs, and these are the other things that can be happening as we sort of figure things out. So I'd say it's this year, I would say it's definitely been the year of the beat down in terms of just how strong are you, both physically and mentally, to handle a situation like this. And also, how do you motivate yourself to keep going even if things are so uncertain? So, yeah.
No, I think just a couple of things that jumped out at me as you were talking through it. You know, the resilience that you have to have. I mean, you've got to be committed. You've got to be able to rise to the occasion. I think one of the things that you said that really jumped out at me is that brave face that you've got to keep. If you're not positive, if you can't see the future, then the people that work for you and with you will not see it either, and that may chase them away. And so it's you know, and then the other thing that you said that I think really stands out is the, you know, ability to be adaptable. I mean, we the world has been thrown a major challenge this last year, and for most of us, it's been an incredible test. I think especially when you're running your own show and your own business and you're independent and people count on you for their livelihood, you know, it takes it to a new level. And yeah, I really appreciate, you know, the ways in which you shared the story about adapting and having people focus on kale and tomatoes and other vegetables or other things that they could grow, because that gives a sense of control to the people too. They have something they can do. They can take action that potentially is positive to feed their families and to keep their livelihood going. So thank you for that. Any other final words of wisdom?
Well, I'm full of stuff to say, and that's why I think I started writing books and all that. But I mean, I think the maybe final words would be, I think, you know, life is short. Don't be afraid to take risks is what I can say, because I know there's a lot of people who are so afraid of living their dreams or even imagining their dreams into action. And uh, I don't know, they'll always be looking at other people, admiring, you know, what other people are doing. But I'm like, I think all of us should just do some soul searching and really, you know, ask ourselves if we're happy, and are you really happy doing what you're doing, and are you contributing to the world? Like, what are you giving to the world? Because I truly believe that all of us are here for a purpose, and when you find your purpose, you don't stop. No matter what tries to hit you, you'll keep going. So those are, you know, kind of final words.
Great. Well, thank you. This has been awesome. I really do appreciate you taking the time, and I think we're about 8 hours difference in time, if I remember correctly. So, you know, your day is winding down. Well, right here in New Hampshire, we're facing about a half a meter of snow, as I said to you earlier. So, well, thank you very much, and I do hope you have a happy holiday and get at least a few days to spend with your daughter and your family, and maybe to chill a little bit. And hopefully, we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, William. Yeah, happy holidays to you too.
Thank you.